Welcome to the top 5 serial killers who were never caught. Warning: this video contains content that some may find disturbing. Without further ado, let's jump into number 5, the Redhead Murderer, also known as the Bible Belt Strangler. The Redhead Murders were a string of killings committed along the Bible Belt in the United States in the 1980s. All of the victims, many of whom were never identified, had red or reddish hair. Many of their bodies were dumped on major highways in the United States, leading investigators to believe that the victims were engaged in either hitchhiking or prostitution. The first murder linked to the killer occurred in 1983 near Littleton, West Virginia. A pair of senior citizens stumbled upon the body along one of the area's highways. Investigators were unable to identify the woman as she was severely disfigured, and many of her facial features were no longer present. And furthermore, the police couldn't pin down a suspect. More victims, many with red hair, began to spring up in the neighbouring states throughout the 80s. The last known victim was Elizabeth Lamont, whose body was found in 1985 in Greenville, Tennessee, with evidence of stab wounds and severe blunt force trauma. Of the presumed victims, only 4 have been identified. Police interviewed 2 suspects in connection with the murders, but the true identity of the killer has never been discovered. Moving on to killer number 4, the Alphabet Killer. In the early 1970s, 3 young girls were raped, then strangled around Rochester, New York. Other than the manner of their death, the girls had one thing in common: their names were alliterative. The girls' bodies were left in towns that started with the same letter as their names. Carmen Colon was dumped in Churchville, Michelle Mayenza in Macedon, and Wanda Walkowicz in Webster. A similar modus operandi was observed in California serial killer Joseph Nazo, who murdered a different Carmen Colon, Pamela Parsons, Roxanne Ragasach, and Tracy Tafoya. A reference in Nazo's journal to the death of a girl in the Buffalo Woods led investigators to test Nazo's DNA against DNA found at the Rochester crime scenes. The DNA was not a match. Kenneth Bianchi, who went on to commit the Hillside Strangler murders with his cousin Angelo Buono Jr., was also suspected of the Alphabet Murders. A native of Rochester, Bianchi was living in Rochester at the time of the slayings. Though he had proclaimed his innocence, no suspect has ever been arrested in the connection with the Alphabet Murders. At number 3, we have the Highway of Tears murders. A shocking number of young women have disappeared or been murdered along a desolate stretch of a highway in British Columbia. The cases date back to 1969, and the sheer number of victims, coupled with the length of time, have led investigators to conclude that the Highway of Tears murders are the work of multiple killers. Many of the victims are First Nations women, leading locals to contend that racism played a part in the attacks, as well as the lack of progress made in each case. Although it's likely that some or even many of these women were killed by different people, it is believed that a large number of murders can be traced to one killer. Royal Canadian Police have suspected American killer Bobby Jack Fowler as being responsible for killing anywhere from 10 to 20 of the victims. A Canadian serial killer, Cody Legabagoff, was convicted of one of the Highway of Tears murders. Despite this progress, the police do not believe that they will ever solve all 40 plus of the murders that have occurred along this stretch of highway. In many cases, too much time has passed. In others, there is simply not enough evidence to charge suspects. As we come to the end of our list, let's take a look at number 4, the Zodiac Killer. The Zodiac Killer transfixed the nation throughout the late 1960s and 1970s, due both to the brutality of his crimes and the way in which he toyed with authorities and the media. He sent numerous letters and cryptograms to the press, daring the public to crack his puzzles and catch him. Of the encrypted messages, just one was deciphered by a history professor and his wife. Chillingly, it revealed that the Zodiac killed in order to collect slaves for his afterlife. The Zodiac killer claimed responsibility for 37 murders. However, investigators agree on only 7 confirmed attacks: a cab driver and 3 different sets of male-female couples. Of the 7 attacks, 2 men survived, bringing the Zodiac's official body count to 5. A number of books and films about the killer's crimes have been released over the years. Some of these works examine the case, while others, such as Gary L. Stewart's The Most Dangerous Animal of All, purport to solve it. Nevertheless, officially, the killer's identity remains unknown. And we finally come to our number 1 on the list, the Red Room Killer. I will put it as simply as possible. The Red Room is a live video streaming website on the Tor hidden network, Deep Web, which streams live violence, rape, murder, and other such kinds of negative videos for the entertaining of others. It's not a free service, instead a highly expensive one, and at times also lets the users type in commands or suggestions for the killer to play out for them. So in other words, we can call it an exclusive video portal for anything and everything which you won't find on the normal internet, specifically murder and pain-inflicting live videos taken from the site. This is one of the pictures when you first log onto the site. The name is believed to be a pun to the word red rum. That's what it sounds like when you say the word red room, which if spelled backwards, spells murder. Red Room is such type of sites which deliver streaming live shows. These live shows have mind-disturbing content, like as previously defined as murder, rape, tortures, snuff movies, and so on. Here site admin sale shows access in a very high Bitcoin price. These access plans have specific on-demand features, like as client can request for any type actions, like slapping, cutting any body part or anything else. The reason that we have chosen this as number 1 on our list is because authorities have no idea who, what, where or when these murders take place. The killer has total anonymity, and what's worse is that other people can tune in and pay for the killer to act out their sickest fantasies. Well, that's all for our top 5 serial killers who were never caught. If you liked the video and thought it was interesting, please leave a like below and subscribe for more content. Until next time, be safe.